November 4th, 1922. The Valley of the Kings, Egypt. British archaeologist Howard Carter stands at the entrance to a sealed tomb. He's been searching for years. Tomb after tomb has been found already, plundered, empty, worthless. But this one is different. The seal is intact, untouched for over 3,000 years. Carter makes a small hole in the door. He holds up a candle and peers inside. Lord Carnarvon, his wealthy patron, stands behind him and asks impatiently, "Can you see anything?" Carter's reply would become legendary. Yes, wonderful things. They had discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun, the boy king who died at 19, whose burial chamber had remained hidden and intact for 3,245 years. It was the greatest archaeological discovery in history. But within months, people connected to the discovery began dying. Mysterious deaths, sudden illnesses, strange coincidences. The newspapers called it the curse of the Pharaohs. By 1929, 22 people associated with the tomb were dead. Was it really a curse, or something else? This is the story of Tutankhamun's tomb, and the 22 people who died after it was opened. Howard Carter had been searching for Tutankhamun's tomb since 1914, funded by George Herbert, the 5th Earl of Carnarvon, a wealthy British aristocrat fascinated by Egyptology. For 8 years, they found nothing. Carnarvon was ready to give up, but Carter convinced him to fund one more season, one more try. On November 4th, 1922, Carter's team discovered a step cut into the rock, then another, and another. They had found a staircase leading down to a sealed door bearing the cartouche, the name of Tutankhamun. Carnarvon rushed from England to Egypt. On November 26th, they officially opened the tomb. What they found inside was breathtaking. Gold, everywhere. Statues, furniture, chariots, weapons, jewelry, all made of gold or covered in gold leaf. The tomb had been sealed since 1323 BC and had never been fully plundered. In the burial chamber, they found Tutankhamun's sarcophagus, a nested set of 3 golden coffins, the innermost made of solid gold. Inside lay the mummy of the young pharaoh, his face covered by the iconic golden death mask that would become one of the most recognizable artifacts in history. But according to legend, there was also a warning, an inscription carved above the tomb entrance. "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king." The curse, they said, had been invoked. The first victim was Lord Carnarvon himself. In March 1923, just 4 months after entering the tomb, he was bitten by a mosquito on his cheek. The bite became infected. He developed blood poisoning, then pneumonia. On April 5, 1923, at 1:55 a.m., Lord Carnarvon died in a Cairo hotel at the age of 56. At the exact moment of his death, according to reports, all the lights in Cairo went out, a citywide power outage with no explanation. And in England, 2,000 miles away, Carnarvon's dog let out a howl and dropped dead. The newspapers exploded with the story. "The curse of the Pharaohs strikes!" Headlines screamed about ancient revenge and supernatural retribution, and then more people started dying. Arthur Mace, an American archaeologist who had helped Carter open the tomb, fell ill shortly after and died in 1928. Cause of death? Exhaustion. He was 53. George J. Gould, a wealthy American financier and friend of Carnarvon, visited the tomb in 1923. Within months, he developed a fever and died of pneumonia. Hugh Evelyn White, a British archaeologist who entered the tomb, committed suicide in 1924. He left a note that reportedly said, "I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear." Archibald Douglas Reed, the radiologist who X-rayed Tutankhamun's mummy, fell ill and died shortly after returning to England. Prince Ali Kamel, Fahmy Bey, an Egyptian prince who visited the tomb, was shot and killed in London within months. The deaths continued. Some were sudden, some were from illness, some were violent. By 1929, 22 people connected to the tomb's discovery or entry were dead. The public was convinced the Pharaoh's curse was real. But was it? Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes, publicly stated that Lord Carnarvon's death was the result of elementals created by Tutankhamun's priests to guard the tomb. Marie Corelli, a popular novelist, claimed she had warned Carnarvon in writing before his death that dire punishment awaited anyone who entered a sealed tomb. The media fed the frenzy. Every death, no matter how distant the connection to the tomb, was attributed to the curse. But scientists and skeptics had a different explanation. The tomb had been sealed for 345 years. Organic materials inside, food offerings, wooden furniture, linen, had been decaying in an enclosed, airless space. Mold, fungi, and bacteria could have accumulated to dangerous levels. Aspergillus, a toxic mold commonly found in ancient tombs, causes respiratory illness and can be deadly, especially to people with weakened immune systems. Lord Carnarvon had been in poor health for years. He'd been in a serious car accident in 1901 and never fully recovered. Some researchers have suggested that bat droppings in the tomb could have carried histoplasmosis, a fungal infection that attacks the lungs. Others point to radiation. Some of the materials in the tomb, particularly certain pigments and minerals, contained low levels of radioactive elements. Prolonged exposure could have caused illness. And then there's the simplest explanation: coincidence. Statistical analysis of the curse victims shows that they died at rates consistent with the average life expectancy of wealthy Europeans in the early 20th century. Malaria, pneumonia, tuberculosis, and other diseases were common and deadly. More importantly, many people who entered the tomb lived long, healthy lives. Howard Carter himself, the man who discovered the tomb, who spent years working inside it, who handled the mummy and artifacts directly, lived until 1939. He was 64 when he died of Hodgkin's disease, a lymphatic cancer unrelated to any curse. Lady Evelyn Herbert, Lord Carnarvon's daughter, was among the very first people to enter the tomb. She lived until 1980, dying at the age of 78. Dr. Douglas Derry, who performed the autopsy on Tutankhamun's mummy, lived until 1961, dying at 87. If there was a curse, it was highly selective. So what's the truth? Was there really a curse, or was it all media hysteria and coincidence? The inscription warning of death? It probably never existed. No one has been able to find evidence of such an inscription. It appears to have been invented or exaggerated by the press. The deaths? Many were from natural causes. Lord Carnarvon was in poor health and died of an infected mosquito bite. Tragic, but not supernatural. Others died from common diseases of the era. The power outage in Cairo? Blackouts were not uncommon in 1920s Cairo. It might have happened, or it might have been embellished in the retelling. The dog dying in England? This comes from second-hand accounts and has never been verified, but the legend persists because it's a compelling story. Ancient Egypt, golden treasures, a boy king's tomb sealed for millennia, and a warning that those who disturb the dead will pay the price. The curse of Tutankhamun taps into something primal: our fear of the unknown, our respect for the dead, our fascination with ancient mysteries. Whether you believe in curses or not, 22 people did die. And the mystery of Tutankhamun's tomb continues to captivate the world a century later. The curse of the Pharaohs. 22 deaths, one tomb. Was it ancient magic, biological hazard, or pure coincidence? The tomb is now empty. The treasures are in museums. The mummy has been studied, X-rayed, DNA tested. We know more about Tutankhamun than almost any other pharaoh. But the curse? That question remains unanswered. What do you think? Curse or coincidence? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more ancient mysteries that still baffle experts, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Because sometimes, the greatest mysteries aren't about what we find, but what finds us.